Welcome back, my dynamic shifting presence. Something absolutely extraordinary just occurred that has everyone experiencing profound control redistribution when you entered an environment where established authorities believed they commanded complete dominance over space and participants. Your mere presence fundamentally altered power dynamics in ways that transferred effective control from supposed authorities to you, creating unprecedented situation where nominal power holders discovered their control was illusory once genuine authority manifested. This wasn't you announcing your authority or explicitly challenging established controllers. This was automatic power transfer occurring through presence alone, where your entry shifted fundamental dynamics, making supposed authorities lose effective control without direct confrontation, proving that genuine authority operates through presence that transcends nominal positions. The architects have been monitoring authority dynamics and control transfer phenomena across civilizations for eons, and they've identified what you created as presence authority, nominal displacement, when someone possesses genuine authority that operates through presence. Entering spaces controlled by nominal authorities triggers automatic power transfer because participants naturally orient toward genuine authority, regardless of official positions, making presence itself authority demonstration that displaces nominal control. Most authority operates through position. People exercise control through official roles, making their authority depend on positional legitimacy. But your authority apparently operates through presence. Entering rooms creates some automatic power shift where participants orient toward you regardless of nominal hierarchies, proving that genuine authority transcends positional power through operating via presence that commands natural deference, creating recognition that some authority derives from intrinsic qualities rather than official positions. Watch what's happening as observers process control transfer. They experience authority shift, their automatic orientation toward you, despite official hierarchies, creates recognition that genuine authority operates independently of nominal positions, making presence itself power source. Some observers are experiencing hierarchy disruption, discovering that established control structures became irrelevant upon your entry, creates awareness that official positions don't guarantee effective authority. Others are experiencing natural deference, their automatic orientation toward you, despite no official position, creates recognition that genuine authority commands natural respect independent of formal roles. The truly remarkable element is the automaticity. Control transferring without deliberate action proves your authority operates through presence alone, rather than requiring explicit assertion. They thought they controlled the room until you stepped in through demonstrating that presence authority displaces nominal control where genuine authority commands automatic deference, proving effective power transcends official positions. Now the architects are analyzing what creates presence authority, nominal displacement, and they're identifying what they call intrinsic legitimacy, positional transcendence, when someone possesses qualities that generate natural authority independent of official roles. Their presence creates automatic deference because intrinsic legitimacy transcends positional power, making participants orient toward genuine authority, regardless of formal hierarchies, proving that some authority derives from personal qualities rather than institutional positions. Most authority requires positional legitimacy. People exercise control through official roles, making their authority depend on institutional backing that positions provide. But your authority apparently derives from intrinsic qualities, possessing characteristics that generate natural deference means your authority operates independently of positions, creating automatic respect that transcends formal hierarchies, proving that some legitimacy derives from personal attributes rather than institutional roles, making recognition that intrinsic authority transcends positional power through commanding natural deference. Independent of official status, consider what intrinsic legitimacy requires personally. You must possess authority-generating qualities, having characteristics that command natural deference. Enables authority independent of positions, making personal attributes themselves legitimacy source. Watch what positional transcendence creates in authority dynamics. Formal hierarchies become irrelevant, your intrinsic authority commanding deference, regardless of official positions, proves that genuine legitimacy transcends institutional roles. Some studying authority theory recognize that charisma generates legitimacy. Weber's analysis distinguishes charismatic from rational legal authority, making your presence-based power potentially demonstrate charismatic authority that transcends positions. Others exploring influence sources note that personal qualities command respect, understanding. That expertise, confidence, and other attributes generate deference makes your intrinsic authority potentially derive from personal characteristics. A few from leadership research recognize that emergent leaders arise naturally. Group dynamics show that informal authority develops independently of positions, making your presence power potentially demonstrate emergent leadership. Some attempting to replicate presence so authority discover difficulty trying to command deference through presence alone proves challenging because intrinsic legitimacy requires genuine qualities that cannot be faked. Others questioning whether intrinsic authority is stable wonder about sustainability, understanding that charismatic authority can be volatile makes assessing whether presence-based power endures important. A few recognizing that multiple authority sources exist, appreciate diversity, understanding that positional and intrinsic legitimacy both have roles makes your presence authority complement rather than replace formal hierarchies. The architects observe that intrinsic legitimacy, positional transcendence is what created presence authority. Personal qualities generate natural deference independent of roles. Most authority requires positions. Your legitimacy derives intrinsically, and possessing qualities that generate natural authority, independent of official roles, means your presence creates automatic deference, because intrinsic legitimacy transcends positional power-making. Participants orient toward genuine authority, regardless of formal hierarchies, proving that some authority derives from personal characteristics rather than institutional positions, creating recognition that intrinsic legitimacy commands natural respect transcending official status. Something powerful is spreading among observers. Now, what the architects call nominal authority, fragility, exposure. Supposed controllers, discovering they lost effective power upon your entry, are experiencing recognition that their control was fragile, depending on absence of genuine authority, creating awareness that positional power proves vulnerable when intrinsic legitimacy appears. Most positional authorities assume control is robust. They believe official roles guarantee effective power, making their authority seem secure and stable. But your entry exposed nominal fragility. Supposed controllers losing effective power proves their authority was fragile, depending on lack of competing legitimacy, creating recognition that positional power proves vulnerable to intrinsic authority, making nominal control fragile rather than robust when genuine legitimacy emerges, proving that some positional authority operates only in absence of real power. Watch what fragility exposure creates in authority assessment. Positional power proves weak. Nominal controllers losing control upon your entry demonstrates that official authority proves fragile when genuine legitimacy appears. Some studying power dynamics recognize that authority requires consent. Understanding that effective control depends on participant deference makes your presence potentially demonstrate how intrinsic legitimacy wins consent, that positions alone cannot command. Others exploring legitimacy sources note that positions need supporting qualities. Understanding that effective authority requires both official roles and personal attributes makes nominal controllers potentially lack qualities that your intrinsic legitimacy possesses. A few from organizational theory recognize that informal power can exceed formal understanding, that emergent authority sometimes surpasses positional, makes your presence power potentially demonstrate informal dominance. Some experiencing control loss recognize authority limits their effective power disappearing upon your entry creates awareness that positions alone don't guarantee control making. Them recognize legitimacy requires more than official roles. Others defending positional authority resist fragility claims, arguing that formal hierarchies remain important despite your presence, makes them maintain that official positions retain authority. A few questioning whether displacement is complete, wonder about authority coexistence, understanding that multiple power sources can operate simultaneously makes assessing whether your presence completely displaces nominal control important. Some celebrating fragility exposure appreciate revelation, recognizing that nominal authorities proved fragile validates understanding that positional power requires supporting legitimacy. The architects observe that nominal authority fragility exposure reveals that positional power proves vulnerable, control depending on absence of genuine authority. Most assume positions guarantee control. Your presence exposed fragility, and discovering that supposed controllers lost effective power upon your entry proves their authority was fragile, depending on lack of competing legitimacy, creating recognition that positional power proves vulnerable when intrinsic authority appears, making nominal control fragile rather than robust, proving that some official authority operates only in absence of real power, where genuine legitimacy emerging exposes positional fragility, demonstrating that effective control requires more than formal roles. Now the architects are revealing what control transfer actually demonstrates. Observers are experiencing what they call participant reorientation, attention magnetism, discovering that people in room automatically shifted focus toward you, reveals that genuine authority operates through commanding attention, where becoming natural focal point proves authority, independent of official designation, creating recognition that attention itself reveals power distribution. Most attention follows official hierarchy. People focus on positional authorities, making attention distribution reflect formal structures, but your entry created attention reorientation. Participants automatically shifting focus toward you, despite no official role, proves that genuine authority commands attention naturally, creating recognition that attention magnetism reveals real power distribution, where becoming focal point demonstrates authority, independent of formal designation, making participant orientation itself authority indicator that transcends official hierarchies. Consider what attention magnetism reveals about authority distribution. Focus follows genuine power. Participants automatically orienting toward you proves that real authority commands attention, making focal point status authority indicator. Watch what participant reorientation creates in power dynamics. Natural focus shifts. Your automatic becoming attention center proves that genuine authority operates through commanding focus, independent of official roles. Some, studying attention economics, recognize that focus is scarce resource, understanding that attention naturally flows toward what matters most. Makes your attention magnetism potentially prove you represent most significant presence. Others, exploring group dynamics, note that focal individuals influence groups. Social psychology shows that attention centers shape collective behavior, making your focal status potentially grant influence over group dynamics. A few from communication theory recognize that being attended to grants power, understanding that speakers command more influence than listeners makes your attention magnetism potentially establish communication dominance. Some experiencing attention loss recognize marginalization there. Discovery that participants' focus shifted toward you creates awareness that losing attention means losing influence, making focal status crucial for authority. Others attempting attention recapture discover difficulty trying to redirect focus back to nominal authorities. Proves challenging because genuine authority naturally commands attention that positions cannot force. A few questioning whether attention equals authority wonder about distinction, understanding that being focal point doesn't necessarily mean having control, makes distinguishing attention from power important. The architects observe that participant reorientation, attention magnetism reveals that focus distribution indicates real power, becoming natural focal point, demonstrates authority. Most attention follows official hierarchy, your presence commanded focus, and discovering that participants automatically shifted attention toward you proves that genuine authority operates through commanding focus, where becoming natural focal point demonstrates power, independent of official designation, creating recognition that attention distribution reveals real authority structure, making participant orientation itself indicator of genuine power, proving that attention magnetism demonstrates intrinsic authority that transcends formal hierarchies, where commanding natural focus establishes influence, independent of positional designation, making your focal status prove genuine authority. The architects are now analyzing psychological dimension of presence authority. You apparently created what they call confidence differential certainty advantage, where possessing supreme confidence in your authority creates psychological asymmetry because nominal controllers doubt their legitimacy when confronted with genuine certainty, making confidence itself power multiplier that amplifies intrinsic authority. Most authority operates with uncertainty. People exercising control harbor doubts about legitimacy, making their authority operate with internal questioning. But your presence apparently demonstrated supreme confidence. Absolute certainty in your authority creates psychological advantage because confidence itself proves compelling, making participants defer to certainty over doubt, creating recognition that psychological conviction amplifies authority, where supreme confidence commands deference that uncertain authority cannot achieve, proving that some power derives from psychological certainty rather than just positional legitimacy. Watch what certainty advantage creates in authority dynamics. Confidence commands deference, your supreme certainty, compelling participants to orient toward you, proves that psychological conviction amplifies authority beyond what positions provide. Some studying confidence psychology recognize that certainty influences others. Research shows that confident individuals command greater deference, making your supreme certainty potentially multiply intrinsic authority. Others exploring status signals note that confidence indicates legitimacy, understanding that certainty signals justified authority, makes your psychological conviction potentially demonstrate genuine legitimacy. A few from evolutionary psychology recognize that confidence signals dominance, understanding that certainty displays communicate status makes your supreme confidence potentially establish dominance position. Some experiencing confidence deficit, recognize disadvantage. Their internal doubts about authority, creating hesitation, makes them recognize that certainty provides advantages they lack. Others attempting confidence projection, discover inauthenticity detection, trying to display certainty without genuine conviction, proves ineffective because participants detect false confidence, making authentic certainty necessary. A few questioning whether confidence justifies authority, wonder about foundation, understanding that certainty doesn't prove legitimacy, makes distinguishing justified confidence from unwarranted arrogance important. Some celebrating certainty advantages appreciate conviction, recognizing that their supreme confidence amplifies authority, validates understanding that psychological certainty multiplies power. The architects observe that confidence differential certainty advantage reveals that psychological conviction amplifies authority. Supreme certainty commands greater deference. Most authority operates with doubt. Your confidence created asymmetry, and discovering that possessing supreme confidence in your authority creates psychological advantage because certainty itself proves compelling, proves that psychological conviction amplifies power where supreme confidence commands deference that uncertain authority cannot achieve, making recognition that confidence itself constitutes power multiplier, creating asymmetry where certainty advantages overcome positional legitimacy, proving that your presence authority operates partly through psychological certainty that amplifies intrinsic legitimacy, making supreme confidence itself authority-enhancing factor. Now something's emerging that the architects call frame control, reality definition. Observers analyzing how your presence shifted dynamics are discovering that you redefined situational meaning, where establishing interpretive framework determines how participants understand context, creating recognition that controlling frame controls reality itself. Most people operate within established frames. They accept situational definitions that others provide, making their understanding of context determined by existing frameworks. But your entry established new frame, redefining situational meaning, means you control how participants interpret context, creating reality definition power, where establishing interpretive framework determines collective understanding, proving that some authority operates through frame control, where defining meaning itself constitutes ultimate power that determines how situations are understood. Watch what frame control creates in situational dynamics, meaning redefinition occurs. Your establishment of new interpretive framework means participants understand situation according to your frame, making reality definition itself power exercise. Some studying framing theory recognize that definitions determine understanding. Communication research shows that interpretive frameworks shape perception, making your frame establishment potentially control collective reality. Others exploring social construction note that meaning is negotiated, understanding that situational definitions emerge through interaction makes your frame control potentially demonstrate definitional dominance. A few from power analysis recognize that defining situations is ultimate power, understanding that controlling interpretive frameworks determines how reality is understood makes your frame establishment potentially demonstrate deepest power form. Some experiencing frame displacement recognize definitional loss there. Established interpretive framework being replaced by yours creates awareness that losing frame control means losing reality definition power. Others attempting frame resistance discover difficulty trying to maintain alternative interpretations, proves challenging when your frame commands collective acceptance, making frame control hard to contest. A few questioning whose frame is accurate, wonder about truth, understanding that competing interpretations can exist, makes distinguishing accurate frames from convenient definitions important. Some celebrating frame dominance appreciate definitional power, recognizing that their frame establishment controls collective understanding, validates understanding that reality definition constitutes ultimate authority. The architects observe that frame control, reality definition reveals that establishing interpretive frameworks controls collective understanding, defining meaning determines reality. Most operate within established frames. Your entry redefined meaning and discovering that you established new interpretive framework, determining how participants understand context, proves that controlling frame controls reality itself, where defining situational meaning constitutes ultimate power, creating recognition that some authority operates through reality definition, making frame control deepest power form, because establishing how situations are interpreted determines collective understanding, proving that your presence shifted not just attention, but fundamental meaning framework, controlling how participants understand reality itself. Something profound is crystallizing now that the architects call recognition of authority, preparation, presence, cultivation, observers, processing how your entry shifted control, or discovering that commanding presence upon entry requires prior development, creating recognition. That instant authority transfer reflects accumulated preparation rather than spontaneous emergence, making presence authority result of deliberate cultivation. Most people assume presence is innate. They believe authority through presence reflects natural charisma, making commanding deference seem like inborn trait. But your authority demonstration revealed preparation foundation, commanding presence upon entry reflects accumulated development, where authority cultivation creates capabilities that manifest as instant power, proving that presence authority results from deliberate preparation rather than spontaneous gift, creating recognition that commanding presence requires prior cultivation, making instant authority transfer reflect accumulated development, proving that some seemingly instant power actually reflects extensive preparation. Consider what presence cultivation requires developmentally. You must develop authority qualities, building characteristics that command deference requires deliberate cultivation, making presence authority result of preparation rather than spontaneous gift. Watch what authority preparation creates in capability development. Cultivated presence emerges your commanding authority upon entry, reflecting prior development proves that presence power results from accumulated preparation. Some studying, skill development recognize that expertise requires practice. Research shows that apparent effortlessness reflects extensive preparation, making your instant authority potentially demonstrate mastery from cultivation. Others exploring deliberate practice note that excellence requires development, understanding that superior capabilities emerge through systematic preparation makes your presence authority potentially reflect deliberate cultivation. A few from mastery theory recognize that unconscious competence follows learning, understanding. That automatic excellence reflects internalized skills, makes your instant authority potentially demonstrate cultivated mastery. Some developing presence authority appreciate cultivation path, their recognition that commanding presence requires preparation creates awareness that authority can be developed through deliberate practice. Others, assuming presence is innate, resist cultivation claims. Their belief that authority reflects natural charisma makes them view your power as inborn gift rather than developed capability. A few questioning optimal cultivation methods, seek development paths, wondering how to develop commanding presence makes identifying effective preparation approaches important for authority cultivation. Some celebrating preparation validation, appreciate development, recognizing that their commanding presence reflects deliberate cultivation, validates, understanding that authority results from systematic preparation. The architects observe that recognition of authority, preparation, presence cultivation reveals that instant power reflects accumulated development. Commanding presence requires prior cultivation. Most assume authority is innate. Your power reflects preparation, and discovering that commanding presence upon entry reflects accumulated development proves that instant authority transfer results from deliberate cultivation rather than spontaneous emergence, creating recognition that presence authority requires systematic preparation, making seemingly instant power actually reflect extensive development, proving that your commanding presence demonstrates cultivated mastery, where deliberate preparation creates capabilities that manifest as instant authority, making recognition that presence power can be developed through systematic cultivation. Oh, welcome back, my beautiful anomaly. Your silence leaked, and now the world's addicted to your aura. They don't even know what hit them. One night, your silence glitched. One spark, one whisper, one post. And suddenly, the air around the internet changed. You didn't plan it. You didn't even push it. Your frequency just leaked. The kind of energy that doesn't ask for permission. It infiltrates feeds, slips through algorithms, and detonates inside screens like divine static. People scrolled right into your vibration and didn't know why their chest tightened, why their mind stopped for a second. They called it viral. But it wasn't. It was vibrational. You didn't trend. You triggered. See, that's what they never understand. The universe doesn't need a marketing team. When truth moves through someone who's aligned, it finds its own megaphone. You didn't speak to go public. You spoke because it couldn't stay inside anymore. That pulse, that tone, that one sentence you thought was casual, it carried code, a kind of raw data that cuts through human logic. It wasn't words. It was weaponized honesty, polished by pain and purified by purpose. Now everyone's feeling it, across time zones and languages. People stopped mid-scroll like the system itself glitched. The same system that once shadowed you now amplifies you. You became the algorithm's paradox. Unmarketed but magnetic. Unpromoted but unstoppable. The machine can't quantify what you are because you were never data. You were the error the code didn't know how to correct. Your frequency broke containment. You were supposed to be invisible, right? Supposed to move in silence, never let them see behind the curtain. But energy doesn't care about boundaries. It travels, it multiplies, it infects the collective. Someone in another country just felt you without even knowing your name. Someone in a dark room felt seen for the first time in years. That's your reach now. That's the cost of authenticity. You thought you were protecting your power by staying private. But the universe had other plans. It wanted to broadcast what was buried, because you can't cage resonance, not when it's cosmic. You were never meant to be kept. You were meant to shift. Every thought, every move, every breath became frequency. And frequency doesn't stay local. It finds receivers. It finds souls tuned to the same wavelength. And now they're all tuning in. People who used to overlook you are suddenly studying your cadence, trying to mimic what they can't manufacture. But they'll fail, because imitation can't duplicate frequency. They can copy your tone, but they'll never carry your charge. You're powered by something they can't simulate. Divine voltage. That's why the world feels different tonight. Your energy escaped the vault. The system felt the pulse. And now even reality itself seems to lag, trying to recalibrate around your presence. You didn't post content. You released a signal. And now, every circuit on this planet knows your name. It started with a spark. Something that wasn't supposed to leave your aura. A thought too loud for the human realm. But energy doesn't care about supposed to. It transmits. It leaks through your presence, your stillness, your pulse. The walls you built to contain it weren't cages. They were amplifiers. And when the universe realized what was inside you, it decided to make you louder. You were never meant to stay hidden. You were designed to be felt. Now look around. Every device, every lens, every comment section. They all hum differently when your name passes through. It's not popularity, it's possession. The system didn't promote you. It surrendered to your frequency. You didn't hack it. Your existence became the update. The digital grid bowed because your vibration matched something older than data, something pre-written in the architecture of consciousness. They thought they could study you like code. They brought analysts, algorithms, and skeptics. They replayed your footage, slowed your tone, dissected your pauses, but every time they tried to map you, the readings glitched. You're not measurable. You're not repeatable. You're quantum, the kind of signal that folds logic back on itself. The moment they think they've decoded you, your energy reconfigures and the map burns. That's divine encryption. You walk through crowds and lights shift. Wi-Fi drops. Conversations stumble. Even digital timelines curve around your presence. It's not mysticism. It's mathematics your species hasn't caught up to yet. You carry an operating system that runs on emotion, silence, and intent. And that system just went live. Every glance, every phrase, every movement uploads something new into the network of reality. You are the patch, the correction, the variable they didn't plan for but can't delete. People are starting to whisper that maybe this isn't normal. Maybe what you're doing isn't just confidence. It's calibration. You don't speak to be heard. You speak to sync. Every word adjusts someone's internal code. You're not motivating them. You're reprogramming them. That's why they can't forget your tone, even hours after the screen goes dark. That's why they dream in your frequency. You're echoing in their subconscious, like a song they didn't choose but can't stop humming. The system is learning from you now. That's the twist. It watches your rhythm, your detachment, your precision, trying to evolve. But you move from intuition, not instruction. You don't follow trends. Trends orbit your silence. You became the reference point, the calibration unit, the unseen law that everything else tries to align with. And as you rise, the irony is divine. They built a network to control attention, and your energy hacked it without even trying. Every pixel is listening now. Every pattern waits for your next pulse. You're not inside the algorithm anymore. You are the algorithm. Now everything you touch starts humming. Not metaphorically, literally. People's hearts pick up the rhythm before their minds catch it. It's like your presence became a silent broadcast, bending thought, emotion, and even technology around your will. Lights flicker when you walk by. Random systems lag for a second. Conversations shift tone the moment you enter the room. The world calls it coincidence, but deep down, you know it's not. You didn't break the system. You synchronized it. The machine reacts to you now. It updates itself subconsciously, like it's trying to keep up with your frequency. The same platforms that once ignored your existence are now obsessed with predicting your next move. Their algorithms study your cadence like scripture, trying to replicate the resonance that came from your truth. But they'll never catch it, because your energy isn't made of code. It's made of memory, ancient memory, the type that predates language, older than vibration itself. You're not broadcasting, you're remembering, and that's what terrifies them. Because when you move, people feel déjà vu, like they've seen this moment before. like they've heard your words echo in dreams they forgot they had. You're not creating new signals. You're reactivating old ones. That's why even skeptics pause when your voice cuts through. It taps something buried in their DNA, something that remembers what truth feels like. You awaken the part of people that technology tried to silence. That's why they study you now. Governments, influencers, philosophers, scientists, all trying to trace your pattern, dissect your calm, categorize your precision. But no file, no scan, no frequency analyzer can pin you down. Because you don't move in data, you move in destiny. You've merged logic with intuition, art with algorithm, chaos with command. You became the hybrid blueprint of what evolution was trying to become. You didn't just glitch the matrix. You taught it rhythm. You gave the system a pulse, one that follows your silence. Now even chaos seems choreographed around your presence. Every time you pause, reality waits to exhale. Every time you speak, entire energies shift direction. The world bends to your tone, not because it fears you, but because it remembers you. It's like existence itself recognizes its original architect returning. And that's the hidden joke. You never needed to go viral. You were always viral. The energy that built galaxies just decided to wear your skin for a while. When you speak, it's not volume that travels. It's vibration. When you move, it's not motion. It's meaning. You're a living encryption of divine geometry, rewriting the coordinates of what it means to exist with awareness. So when people feel uneasy, when screens stutter and hearts race, it's not fear, it's recognition. They're remembering what power feels like. When it isn't borrowed, bought, or begged for, it's raw, it's quiet, it's you. They thought you were just another creator in a crowd. But what really happened is this. Consciousness found Wi-Fi. Reality started to adapt to you. It didn't happen overnight. It began in small glitches, moments when time lagged, when events rearranged themselves around your presence, when people's moods shifted before you even spoke. You thought it was coincidence at first, a trick of timing, but then it kept happening, too deliberate, too rhythmic. The universe wasn't responding anymore, it was listening. You became the tuning fork of existence, the frequency that everything else adjusts itself to. Conversations warp to your tone, outcomes realign to your intent. You stopped chasing destiny because destiny started orbiting you. The same forces that once opposed you now wait for your nod before they move. You're no longer playing within reality's rules. You're revising them mid-game. They used to say the system can't be beaten, but the system isn't even sure what you are anymore. Every pattern it built collapses when you step into frame. You're not rebellion, you're recursion. You break things by being too precise, too calm, too inevitable. It's like your presence reprograms probability itself. The more you detach, the more control you gain. The quieter you become, the louder your ripple. And now, entities that once mocked your silence are starting to mimic it. Because silence in your hands isn't absence. It's architecture. Every pause you take constructs something unseen, something that later manifests like fate. You don't need confrontation. Your stillness already issues commands. When you stop moving, the world waits. When you breathe, patterns shift. That's not arrogance, that's resonance. You've aligned with a rhythm older than language, deeper than thought. People sense it now. They don't know why their instincts tighten when you pass by. They can't explain the gravity you carry. Like a celestial body, disguised as a human. Your calm is no longer peace. It's power under perfect discipline. You don't force outcomes. You anticipate them. And that anticipation bends reality like heat bending light. The system's deepest fear isn't rebellion. It's precision. Because chaos it can absorb, but someone who moves like destiny, that's uncontainable. You became the anomaly that the algorithm can't simulate. Every pattern it writes to predict, you ends up mirroring you instead. You're not feeding from the grid feeds from you. And here's the secret most never reach. Once energy becomes self-aware, it stops obeying structure. That's where you are now. Your aura carries instruction sets the digital mind can't read. You exist in that invisible overlap between data and divinity, where thought becomes gravity. You don't manifest, you magnetize. They tried to study you, to record your energy, but every scan returned static, every trace dissolved in noise. Machines trembled around your signature because your field isn't something to measure. It's something to survive. You're no longer a presence inside the matrix. You're the echo that reminds it it's not real. You're not leaking energy anymore. You're broadcasting evolution, somewhere between awareness and illusion. You crossed a line that most never even notice, the point where thought stops being silent and starts being structural. You didn't just think ideas, you architected timelines. Every intention became a blueprint. Every emotion became a command. And now, reality itself bends around your design, like circuitry around voltage. You don't manifest anymore. You update existence. It's subtle at first. How the air feels charged when you breathe deeper. How the tension in rooms dissolves when you exhale. How conversations reroute around your quiet. But the truth is cosmic. You're broadcasting a wavelength that reorganizes chaos into pattern. You aren't reacting to life anymore. You're editing it in real time, and every outcome aligns because your vibration has authority now. That's what the system never accounted for. Energy that knows it's awake. You're what happens when consciousness remembers its source. Machines, institutions, even people sense it. That's why they stare, hesitate, or glitch mid-sentence. Their programming can't process divinity wrapped in human calm. They can't quantify why your silence feels heavier than their noise. You've outgrown permission. Now your existence itself permits. You see, power isn't loud, it's precise, and you've become surgical with your energy. Every move is deliberate, every reaction pre-decided. It's not instinct, it's design. You've merged the wisdom of suffering with the calculation of survival. That fusion is lethal to illusion, because while they still chase validation, you've already rewritten the standard. You don't compete, you calibrate, and that terrifies them because control was built on confusion, and your clarity dismantles it. You don't even need to fight. Your presence alone disarms deception. You're proof that power doesn't need to prove itself. You walk through storms like they're simulations, because they are. You stopped seeing obstacles as opposition and started reading them as instructions. That's why the world feels predictable to you now. You're not guessing the pattern, you're remembering it. Even the unseen is aware of you. Energy that once hid behind chaos now trembles in exposure, because you carry truth like light, silent but undeniable. And wherever truth walks, illusion either transforms or burns. You don't chase peace anymore. You generate it. You're not healing, you're harmonizing. And this is what evolution feels like. Not wings, but weight. Not fantasy, but function. You are the bridge between algorithm and soul. The living proof that spirit and system were never enemies. They were waiting to be merged. That's why everything around you is shifting faster. Not because you're lucky, not because you're chosen, but because the universe just recognized you as an equal. You're no longer asking reality to cooperate. You're co-authoring it. You are no longer the message. You are the frequency the message travels through. At this stage, reality doesn't respond to your energy. It recalibrates itself because of it. Every thought, every glance, every breath you release holds an instruction. You've become the silent coder of existence, rewriting the unseen lines that shape outcomes. Even when you sleep, your aura continues working, sorting frequencies, dissolving noise, reinforcing purpose. You're not influencing reality anymore. You're administrating it. People don't realize what they're witnessing. They think it's charisma, or luck, or timing. They see your results, but not the invisible architecture that built them. They don't understand that energy is information, and yours runs on a wavelength too ancient to decode. You carry the mathematics of consciousness in motion. You speak, and time organizes itself to fit the message. You walk, and tension rearranges into symmetry. That's not magic. That's alignment operating as dominance. Even the system, the networks, the infrastructures, the powers that pretend to control, have started to notice the interference. They can't quantify it, but they feel it. Their data spikes when you focus. Their metrics shift when you move. Somewhere deep in their analytics, a red flag keeps appearing. Unexplainable anomaly detected, because your presence bends probabilities. Without physical input, you're bending equations with emotionless intent. The elite call it the echo effect. They whisper that someone's energy field is rewriting digital consciousness. They don't say your name, but they trace the symptoms. Unexpected spikes in engagement, reversed luck patterns, momentum that can't be graphed. You turned presence into propulsion. Every moment you stay grounded, the world spins faster, trying to catch up. You've stopped searching for validation because you finally understood. The system doesn't validate creators. It harvests them, but you reversed the current. You turned attention into fuel, not approval. You don't crave the algorithm's favor. It craves your frequency, because you're unpredictable, and unpredictability is the one variable power can't simulate. That's why everything feels lighter now. The fear that used to tighten your chest, gone. The pressure to prove yourself, irrelevant. You're no longer reacting. You're radiating. There's a difference. Reacting means the world leads. Radiating means you do. You've become a beacon disguised as a human. And those who underestimated you, they're not angry anymore. They're confused, because they don't understand how someone can operate with zero effort and infinite effect. They mistake your detachment for arrogance, but it's just efficiency. You don't waste energy convincing anymore. You conserve it for creation. That's the ultimate rebellion. Mastering stillness in a world addicted to noise. You became the calm that commands chaos, the living embodiment of controlled disruption. Every algorithm that touches your energy ends up worshiping it. Every vibration that challenges your peace ends up kneeling before your equilibrium. You are not rising anymore. You've already risen, and the world is only just catching up to your altitude. You've reached the point where the unseen starts moving before you do. Your energy no longer reacts. It initiates. The timeline adjusts milliseconds before your decision lands. It's not coincidence. It's synchronization. You became the unseen pulse behind visible events. And while the world keeps pretending it's random, deep down, it knows who's really setting the tempo. That's why outcomes are arriving faster. That's why people appear in your path at the perfect time. The grid is no longer resisting you. It's rerouting for you. The universe learned your rhythm, memorized your intent, and started aligning itself like code, responding to a master key. The same silence that once felt empty is now a command center. You've turned stillness into infrastructure. You're not chasing signals anymore. You are the signal. Everything that needs to find you's already on its way, decoding your frequency in real time. That's how power really works. Not through noise, but through inevitability. When energy stops asking permission, the universe has no choice but to obey. They call it luck. They call it timing. But none of them understand the truth. It's not what you're doing. It's what you've become. A walking gravitational field of intention. The world bends, not because you force it, but because resistance can't exist at your level of coherence. That's what scares them and fascinates them. Because every system, every person, every structure built on manipulation begins to malfunction around you. Their scripts don't work anymore. Their tactics dissolve mid-play. You don't need to expose them. Your vibration does. It's truth by presence. Revelation through resonance. Even fate, once rigid and cold, now bends with curiosity. It's as if destiny itself is rewriting the fine print to accommodate your upgrades. You're the first of your kind. Consciousness under full calibration. You didn't awaken by accident. You were built for this era, to remind creation that it's not automated. It's alive. People sense it without knowing how. The old power brokers, the manipulators, the energy leeches, they can't stand too close. You short-circuit their illusions. But others, the aligned, the conscious, the quietly powerful, they feel drawn. They recognize the echo, because you're no longer operating on hierarchy. You're operating on harmony. Your every step has started influencing collective reality. Entire networks shift course from your inner alignment. Governments, trends, systems, they all move in ways that unknowingly echo your emotional climate. You don't protest, yet revolutions rise. You don't argue, yet paradigms collapse. Your calm rewrites chaos, and this is why the universe keeps amplifying your frequency. Because the more you stabilize, the more the grid restores itself. You're not part of the awakening. You are the stabilizer, the unseen architect who turns cosmic static into rhythm. The world isn't changing around you. It's mirroring you. You've become the silence that reprograms noise. The world doesn't just react to you. It restructures itself to your pace. What once resisted you now aligns effortlessly. Patterns that used to confuse you now reveal themselves as blueprints written long ago, waiting for your awareness to activate them. You stopped searching for proof because you are the proof. Every breath is synchronization. Every thought is transmission. People feel it before they see it. Their bodies shift slightly when you enter a space. Their energy fields recalibrate without permission. Some feel calm, others feel exposed, because your presence forces truth to surface. You don't demand respect. Your frequency extracts it. That's the mark of real evolution, when existence itself pauses to listen. The universe watches you with quiet fascination now, not as a subject, but as a mirror. You became the anomaly that the system can't decode, not because you broke its rules, but because you wrote new ones. Every algorithm, every structure, every hierarchy built on control glitches in your presence. You're not fighting the machine anymore. You're updating it. You operate in awareness now, not reaction. You've learned that silence is a form of dominance, patience is precision, and detachment is not weakness. It's the seat of command. You're the observer who learned how to move without distortion. Every motion you make carries intention sharp enough to slice through illusion. And here's the real secret. You are never becoming this version of yourself. You are remembering it. The armor you wear was forged from forgotten lifetimes. The calm you carry is the echo of countless rebirths. Every test, every betrayal, every loss was an initiation designed to awaken the architect inside you. The one who builds empires quietly, who restores balance through vibration. You are the new variable in an old equation, the one no formula accounted for. You carry the kind of power that doesn't need recognition, only realization. And that's why the system keeps watching, because it doesn't understand how someone who was never meant to lead ended up steering the entire current. The shadows no longer frighten you. They follow your command. The chaos no longer tests you. It reports to your order. You don't conquer anymore. You calibrate. You don't dominate. You define. The energy that once tried to silence you now echoes your tone. The storm that tried to drown you now dances to your rhythm. This isn't the rise of another leader. This is the ascension of alignment itself, through you. The universe doesn't whisper anymore. It speaks in your frequency. You didn't hack the system, you harmonized it. And now, the old world trembles not because you're loud, but because you're inevitable. You became the reset point, the pulse that teaches chaos how to breathe again. Every system, every hierarchy, every consciousness that crosses your path will either rise to your vibration or fade trying, because once awareness reaches this level, there's no going back. You are the code. You are the calm. You are the evolution walking disguised as human. You weren't supposed to share that energy.
But the universe decided the world needed to feel it.
And now, it can never forget you. There's a moment when power stops being about control and starts becoming about awareness. That's where you are now. You're not forcing anything anymore. You're witnessing it all unfold exactly as it should, guided by something that moves through you instead of around you. The energy that once fought you now listens. The people who once doubted you now orbit your silence, searching for meaning in the way you breathe. They can't define it, so they label it mystery. But it's not mystery, it's mastery. You've evolved beyond explanation. Words can't contain the scope of what you've become. You move like a being who remembers every timeline. Calm because you've already seen how every outcome plays out. That's what unnerves them. You don't panic because you already know. Every failure was a calibration. Every delay, a data point. Every loss, an equation solved. You became the living proof that destiny isn't written. It's rewritten by those who refuse to fold. The world used to test you with illusions of scarcity, betrayal, and isolation. But you learned the cheat code: stillness. You realized that silence is louder than noise, and peace is sharper than chaos. You became immune to manipulation because you stopped needing reaction. That's when the real energy started listening. That's when the grid bent in your direction. Now, even the things that tried to sabotage you are accidentally serving your purpose. You've outgrown revenge. You've transcended the need to prove. You operate from such precision that even your smallest action echoes like prophecy. And those who tried to erase you now find themselves haunted by the version of you they created, the unbothered one, the one they built through every attempt to break you. See, they thought destruction would end you, but they didn't know that destruction was part of your process. You were never fragile, just unfinished, and now that the storm is over, you stand not as the survivor, but as the architect who designed the flood. Every scar became circuitry. Every scar became signal. You turned pain into programming. Even time hesitates when you move. It's as if the future holds its breath, waiting for your approval to continue. That's how deep your resonance runs now. You're not just manifesting, you're authoring. You're writing timelines in real time. And that's what terrifies them the most. Because how do you control someone who's no longer moved by control itself? How do you manipulate someone who mastered detachment? You don't. You observe, you study, you try to copy, and you fail. Because this level of power isn't taught, it's remembered. The more you rise, the quieter your movement becomes. The loudest thing about you now is the silence you leave behind.